Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Baker, and this is Mama Stories. I created Mama Stories after seeing how impactful sharing stories can be in overcoming the challenges of motherhood. I am where I am today because of the stories of so many amazing, strong mamas, and I want to share that with every mom I can. So follow along to laugh, cry, and be empowered. Thanks for tuning in to today's show. Have you heard about how we are changing the story for moms? Mama Fund is a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to providing products, services, and education to moms in need. So check us out at mamafund.org. All right, welcome to the show today, Olivia.
Hi.
Thanks for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who Olivia is?
Yeah, so I'm 32, been married for 10 years to my husband, Brian, and we have two little ones. Our daughter is 6. She is in kindergarten this year, just started last week, and our son is 4 and in preschool.
Nice. So you have a little bit of time in the morning to yourself.
Yes, it's new and it's been so good. Feels really nice to get the house clean and kind of get all the things done that I need to and have a little time for myself too.
Yeah, that is so nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to those times.
Totally.
I keep telling myself, I'm like, just 2 more years.
Yeah. Last week when school started, I was like, I'm not going to make any plans and I'm just going to enjoy this time and have a little self-care and get to be by myself and decompress from a crazy summer. And,
Yeah.
you know, in the summer when kids are home, you just don't really get time by yourself at all. And it's so important to do that as a mom.
Yes,
so
it
just
is.
to set that time aside last week was really crucial and important, and I was glad I got to do it.
Good. I'm glad that you did too. It is so important. Self-care is like, it's so funny. I think I just said this yesterday, so you'll probably hear it several times on the podcast if you listen to the episodes in the future, but is like they say on an airplane to put your oxygen mask on first.
Totally.
And the only reason why they do that is because you can't help people unless you're at 100%.
Yeah.
And I keep saying that to myself. Like
Totally.
I don't know what my oxygen mask is in that moment, but if it's
Gotta
time to
figure it out.
myself
Yep.
or time with my girlfriends, like you got to give
Yeah.
yourself oxygen before you can give it all away to your babies.
Totally. And I feel like that was one of the things that was learned later for me as a mom. Like I think that for the first few years, our kids are 21 months apart. So they're pretty close together. And I feel like when I was done having one baby, I had another and a toddler that I had to discipline. And I feel like into that second year of my son being born, I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know who I am really. Like I haven't taken the time and I hadn't really thought about self-care or what that meant, just because when you don't have kids, a lot of your life is self-care because you're choosing your own path and what you're doing every day.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're thrown into other people are more important than you and you want that and you choose that, but you forget that there's another person there. And I think it's so important to think about for each person what specific self-care looks like. It could look really different for everybody, and just to actually ask yourself, you know, I think like one thing that I've learned is I'm actually a little bit of an introvert now that I'm a mom. It's really relational being a mom. And I would have said before that I'm super relational and super outgoing, and I am, but I think that I've learned that I need to recharge by myself, that's like an important piece for me. And if I go all day long with kids, husband, friends, you know, outpouring ministry, whatever it is, that if there's no alone time, I am so fried by the end of the day.
Yeah.
That was something that I felt like it was just later learned for me. And it's more of a buzzword now. I feel like people are talking about it as moms, like what is your self-care? But I think it's just really important to think about what specific thing for you. Like it might not be a bath or a glass of wine. Like it might be something different. And, you know, just to really kind of hone in on your needs and ask for help too, to like make that happen. You know, there were some times where I was like, hey, I'm going to call a friend and ask them to have my kids over for a half an hour so I can just sit.
Yeah.
And it's so necessary.
It is. Yeah. And it's funny that you said that when you were talking about the introvert thing. I was wondering where you were going with that, because I 100% agree with you. Like I for sure am before Grayson, before being a mom, was like wanted to be around friends, needed to be around people.
Same.
And that was how I recharged, was being around those people. But when I'm alone, which is not that often, Grayson is pretty little still.
Totally.
But when I'm truly alone, just me, there's a sense of overwhelming calmness that comes. It's almost a little uncomfortable.
For sure.
Because I'm not alone all the time.
Yeah. It's like you have to force yourself into it.
Yeah. But there is this time where I'm like, man, this feels just as good as it did before when I got like my time with my girlfriends or time in a movie or whatever it was before.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah.
All right. So your babies are 21 months apart.
Yes.
What was the hardest thing about having 2 babies under 2?
Yeah. The first year of my son's life, so my daughter had like just turned 2. That year was really hard looking back. I kind of don't know how I did it. My husband works a lot, and so there was just a lot on me. And I think the biggest hard part was disciplining began with my daughter at, a little after 2, that it was like, I felt this sort of pressure that if I didn't begin the discipline now, that I was going to be in for it later. And so I think just as like a really exhausted newborn stage mom with our son, that I was like forcing myself to discipline and figure out what that meant and try to teach her things when she wasn't understanding yet. But I just, I don't know if looking back, like if I would have done it different or not, but that just weighed really heavily on me, just to have this like discipline beginnings and then the newborn thing, and just doing both of those. It's like when you have your second, the newborn part of it is not that hard because you know how to do it and your body just kind of goes into the motions, but you're still exhausted and you're still nursing around the clock and you're still like trying to take care of your own body. And so it was like, there was so many mornings where like I'd been up all night and my husband was leaving for work, and then I'm like about to go back to sleep or just falling asleep or something. And then our older one woke up and I was like, I can't do this.
Oh my gosh.
So I feel like that was kind of like in the trenches, the hardest part. And I just had the sweetest friends. They would invite me over and serve me breakfast and coffee in the morning. Like, you just come and you sleep and your daughter can play with my child and it'll be totally fine. And so we got through it, but I feel like that was really hard. And we chose to have them close together. I really wanted that. And now at 4 and 6, it's so fun. Like the last 2.5 years, really, like they're each other's best friend. And I wasn't sure about that either with like a boy and a girl, because I just have a sister and she's my best friend. And we didn't have a great relationship always growing up, or normal siblings, but now we're so close. And so I was like, what does that look like for a boy and a girl to be siblings? Are they going to be friends? And they totally are. Like, it's so fun. And I think like we tried to kind of instill that in them and our family, that like, you've got each other, like this is it, right now. And so it's really fun now that they're close in age. But there was that first year that was pretty tough.
That is hard. It's so important to have those types of friends around.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, honestly, I don't know how you do it. Like how you would do that when you just were like toddler phase and infant. I was feeling tired just listening. Totally. Like I was like, oh my gosh, it's exhausting. Because Grayson just entered into like the holy moly, we have tantrums and disciplines, and like I'm in this space where I'm like, wait, do I time out? Do I do corner?
Totally.
Like I don't know what to do, and it just kind of hits you really fast.
And you got to try all the things because you don't know what's going to work for your kid, and it's
Oh man, I'm just now thinking about having a newborn and healing your own healing from that.
That's the hard part too.
Oh man, well, I'm glad you got through it.
Yes, totally.
So did you went back to work when you had your first, or you did not?
No, I didn't. So I had a few different jobs before, and then right before I gave birth, I put in my notice, and we had made the plan that I wasn't going to go back to any type of full-time job. I was wedding coordinating, kind of on the side on my own. And so I still did that a little bit. My sister's a few years younger than me, and so a lot of her friends were kind of getting married right around that time. And so I really wanted to still do that for them. And so I think the last wedding I did, I was pregnant with our second. Okay. And then I was like, okay, it's hard to do it's hard on your body, and just being away on the weekends and the summers was just going to be a little bit harder.
Bridezillas.
Totally. Like I didn't have too many, but it's just all the details throughout the day is crazy. And it's just like so hard on your body cause I would set everything up, and then I would run everyone through everything, clean everything up. Like it was just, the day was really long. So when I was pregnant with our second, I was like, okay, I should probably not do this anymore.
Yeah. All right. So when did you decide you were ready to go back to work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that I did ever really. Like I kind of had things fall in my lap every once in a while after I had kids. And the business that I do now, home organizing, I started just about 8 months ago.
Okay.
And I wasn't really seeking it out. It was something that I was like, I could probably try that again. I had done it before I had kids. And so something I was familiar with, and it's a skill of mine. I'm pretty good at it. And
Your home is beautiful.
Thank you.
Very well organized.
Thank you. And it was really, a gal that I was friends with, or actually we weren't really friends. We were acquaintances, and she wanted to do it. And she was talking to me about kind of advice on how to start something. She knew that I had done it before and just kind of wanted to chat through it. And so we met up, and at the end she was like, would you do this with me? Like, I just feel like it would be so much more fun and like helpful to have a partner to do this. And at first I was like, I don't know, like, I'm not really sure if I'm there yet. And like, how would I make that work? And I have a lot of little other side things that I do. And so I just wasn't sure how it would fit. And the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I feel like as moms, sometimes we don't jump into things because we're fearful of what it could look like in 6 months, 12 months, 4 years. And my business partner and I just had this great conversation where we're like, you know what? Like, let's just try it. And if it doesn't work in 3 months, like, who cares? Like, we tried it, and, we'll just kind of take it step by step. And I think just the fact that she was on the same page as me in that, just made me feel more comfortable to say yes and to go for it and just try it. And, if I had an out, like, I don't have a boss that I have to like give my notice to, that it was like, that's kind of the beauty of doing things on your own as a mom, is that like, you can make it work for what works for your life, So, so far so good. We've been in business for, like about 8 months, and
she's a mom too.
Fun. She's a mom. Yeah. Her kids are 8 and 4, and mine are 6 and 4. So, that's really great. Like, we just kind of work together to have the right schedule. So we try to do our jobs 1 day a week where we both have overlapping preschools in the morning. So neither of us have to get childcare. And then we have a few days that don't overlap. So she'll do some work on that day, like solo, and I'll do work on a different day solo. And so we kind of just like work it out together to make it happen. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. We'll do like working sessions together and just bring the kids and have a play date. And the kids have gotten to know each other over the last couple months too, and have had fun, playing and getting excited to hang out with each other. So that's been really fun.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I do think as a mom, in my experience, when you're a stay-at-home mom, a lot of your identity is in work.
Totally.
Or in, I guess, just more of like that creative outlet, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you're doing something other than diapers and naps and discipline, all those things. So a lot of moms, I think, find themselves in this space where they're trying to figure out what's next.
Totally.
Like, what do I do? I don't want to say to find worth, because being a mother should be enough for sure. Worth.
I always say, like, use my brain space in a different way. Like, how can I use my brain in a different way today?
Yes.
Our brains are meant for a lot of different things, and our heart is meant for a lot of different things if we want it to,
Yeah.
And I actually didn't know that I wanted to work at all. It wasn't something I planned on when I was like pregnant. I was like, I'm so excited to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, that's all I really wanted.
Yeah.
And I still want that to be my number one. And I think just kind of the fact that things have trickled into my path, have just made it feel more peaceful of what I'm doing, that I have a little bit more control about the extra brain space that I'm giving. And if it feels like too much, and if my, role as a mom is starting to drop because of other things coming up, I can switch that and make it, what's my priority? My priority is my kids still right now,
Yeah.
They're not in full-time school, both of them yet. And I've always kind of thought like that would be a great time, but I was like, well, what am I going to do? And who's going to hire me if I want to be the one to drop them off and pick them up from school? It's still not a 40-hour-a-week job. And so,
Sure.
I always kind of had in my mind of doing something on my own or something a little bit entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And so, it kind of just fell into my lap like that. And so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool that you're not, I think that what I hope people hear from what you're saying is that, one, you have someone else helping you, which I think is
Totally
the biggest resource that anybody could have, especially if they're starting their own business.
Yep.
But two, that you're not doing it like in a forceful way. It's not
Totally.
like I have to get 20 clients today.
Totally.
Or I'm not going to be able to be successful. Like, you're looking at it from a long haul.
Exactly.
Like, soon you'll be able to pick up more, do more.
Totally.
So why not start now?
And like to be in control of your own thing. Like your schedule is your own, and work as much as you want to with, when you start something, you can kind of do that. Like we could be, seeking out tons of new clients and doing all this marketing or advertising, but we're not. We're getting as much as we feel comfortable with, and it's actually been like the perfect amount. And so we've just kind of kept it at that, and it's been really great and perfect. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you go to school for organizing, or is it just something you've always been good at?
I studied sociology in college because I tried business. I tried a couple different things, and I just found that sociology, like people, just really fascinate me. And I've always just kind of been a people person. I love community and groups of people. And so I ended up studying sociology. And then kind of at the end of college, I decided that I really wanted to do nonprofit events. And so the college I was at, you could get a certificate in event management. So I kind of did that like at the last minute at the end of college, just to kind of get that.
Yeah.
Because what I really wanted to do was do home organizing and event organizing. So that's like the first business that I ended up starting, was the home and event coordinating, because home organizing was just something that I grew up doing. My mom was really organized, and it was just like my therapy growing up. Like anytime I had a hard day or I was just like feeling down or whatever, like we would rearrange my room and we would clean out my closet. And, I just, as I got older, would start to do that for friends, and just kind of always had the feeling that like when you live with only the things you love, like it's going to make your life more peaceful and easier. And, I didn't want to be the girl who spent hours having to clean up my messy room, And so I don't know, it kind of was just a part of me, and just really encouraged like friends to do it as I got older. And then friends would ask me like, hey, can you come help me clean out my closet? Hey, can you like help me rearrange my pantry? And I was like, yeah, for sure. Like that's my favorite thing to do. And
can we be friends?
Totally.
I have a lot for you to organize in my house.
I'll come right over. So no, I didn't. I don't have any like professional training to be an organizer.
Is there professional training? I guess I wouldn't know.
I don't know. I don't know if it's like it might be like a certificate.
Maybe.
But my business partner, like she was kind of in the same position. Like she had done it for friends and knew she was really good at it and had a passion for it. And so what's been super fun is to like bring our brains together and learn from each other. Like I'm kind of came in super interested in the functionality of a space. Like, how does this flow? Does this work for you? Like, do you need your bags over here, or actually do you use them over here? And she loves the like design aesthetic of things. So she like is so good at like bringing in beautiful baskets and things to like really kind of pull a space together. But it's been fun, like something that I knew that I was really good at, to learn from someone who's also really good at it, that we
really
can
cool.
kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and like we really make a great team in that way. So,
well, and you're not alone.
Exactly.
I think that sometimes, I mean, organizing just sounds overwhelming to me.
No,
obviously not to you.
It can be for sure. Like you walk into a space and you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know where to start. And we've like totally felt that with each other, but it's 100% way better with a person to say like, hey, what do you think? Should we do this? Like, should we start here? Like, oh, what do you, so that has been so great. And I'm so glad because I used to do it by myself and it's kind of intimidating sometimes. Like, even if you think you're good at it, like you've never seen a space before. Every time you walk in, it's new. So there's so much to learn and think through, and your brain's just kind of like rattling, well, how would I do this? And so it's so nice to have someone else to talk it through.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned earlier being a big proponent of community and loving community, which is one of the reasons why I found you, because you run a really cool, I call it an Instagram page. That's what I know about it.
Yeah, it is.
Called what?
Mom What's Next?
Mom What's Next, Portland.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So can you tell us like what that is, how that started, and how you used it as a mom?
Totally. So it's an Instagram account that I started about 2 summers ago. So my kids were 4 and 2 at the time. And it really came out of necessity for me. So I've lived in Portland most of my life and was kind of excited to explore it with kids, and kind of in those toddler years. You're looking for things to do all the time. And, you know, I kind of always tried to do a good mix of like, we're going to stay home a couple days or a couple mornings, and then we're going to get out of the house a couple days of the week. So I kind of like would make a schedule for myself, and kind of push myself to do things and to try different parks and, you know, do different fun things with the kids around Portland. And I kind of just got in this place where I was like Googling all the time and like screenshotting things that people were doing and constantly asking on Instagram, like, where is this? Like, where are you going? Like, what's this happening? Like, and I kind of just got like tired of every time I was trying to leave the house that I was spending like a half an hour on my phone trying to find something new and cool to do.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, like, wouldn't it be great if there was just like a really simple place that moms could go and they could just find something really fast to go do with their kids. So I started an Instagram page. I titled it Mom What's Next. The idea for the name actually came from my mom. Growing up, she made a cookbook with all of her friends called Mom What's for Dinner. And it was like a collection of recipes that she had gotten from all of her mom friends and made like a, you know, every mom's like, oh, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? Yeah. Like, you know, kind of wanted something new. So it kind of was birthed out of that, like same concept. Like I want to help other people and help myself at the same time. And I think because I've lived in Portland most of my life, a lot of friends that I have that haven't grown up here would always ask me questions like, hey, what's the best thing to do for this? Or I was kind of getting those questions from people. And so that was kind of another thing that I thought like, okay, I'm just going to put this all in one space. So came up with the name and came up with the handle, and so created the Instagram. And I basically want it to be like a community-based forum where people can send me the places that they go in Portland. So it can like literally be anything, a park, a library, like a fun waterfall hike, like anything, any range. I mean, I think that as a mom, sometimes you have an hour and you're like, I just want to get out and do something. Yeah. And who cares if it's like a little park that, you know, is 20 minutes away, but at least it's going to take up like, you know, a chunk of time that you have. Sure. Or what if I, you know, I'm 25 minutes away at a doctor's appointment in a different area of town than I normally am, and I want to look for something kind of around that area. And I feel like because of the Portland metro area being that way, like, you know, the east side can be 45 minutes away for me, living on the west side, and so I don't know a ton over there, but if I'm over there, I'd love to try something and, you know, do new things. So, I kind of just started like posting just one picture with a simple title on it of what the place is, tagging it in the location tag, at the top of the picture so that people could find it. And it's been so fun to grow. It's like, it's been 2 years, and, you know, I have moms all over town sending me things of adventures that they're doing with their kids. And it's so fun to post them and have their like people tag their friends like, hey, let's go do this weekend. And, I just feel like it's really kind of fun to see community on an Instagram page, and just moms being able to find things to do. And I started it being like, if this is just for me and my friends, that's great. Like, I just wanted like a little library, and I kind of just started with the places that I like to go. Like, okay, where have we been that we love? So that we can remember to go back there. And so it started with that. And just kind of grew from there. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I've said I need to use this when I come to Portland, which is so nice, especially for someone that's not from here at all.
Exactly.
To be like, oh, what am I looking for?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing it in other places?
Yes. Like, I feel like I have so many ideas and so many like dreams about it. Cause I do think that every city needs it. Like, it would be so helpful. And I've done like, a few different like farther away places like the coast or Bend, Oregon, which is not too far from here, or Seattle, kind of done like a weekend guide, that people can take with them. But yes, I think it would be so great to have it in cities. I've also thought it'd be really cool to have an app where you could just like, go and find. So I started a website, not too long ago, and I haven't been able to put a ton of time and effort into it. But
what? You have all this time. Totally. What do you mean?
All the good intentions.
Yeah.
And I made like a Google layered map on there, which is so cool. I don't know if you've ever like played around with Google Maps before, but you can put like all your own places in. And so cool. I don't know, I've been like, how can we use this? Like, I don't know, I've got lots of ideas. I've started to do like little free guides of like for the fall. Last year I started this, just like a list of all the pumpkin patches or like fun fall things to do. Yeah. And so I've kind of done like 1 a quarter of those just for like a quick high level, like here's kind of some ideas. I also am like passionate about like organizing your thoughts, just because that's what I'm good at too. Just a skill of mine is to like, take your week and try to plan it out. Like, okay, I'm going to go to a park on this day. I'm going to, go to the children's museum on this day. I'm going to stay home on this day. I'm going to have a play date on this day. And so I've tried to use that to help moms kind of like, I guess, feel empowered to go do something.
Yeah.
That you don't have to be this like crazy adventurous mom. Cause truthfully, I'm actually not. Like, I'm kind of a homebody. I have a lot of friends that live around me. And so a lot of our time is just spent doing play dates or going to the park that we go to all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm not some like crazy adventure gal. But I think I'm really inspired by like the moms that are, and also just, to be able to go to a place and find something to do. And I try to have the moms who send me stuff kind of give me like the high level things. Like there's a bathroom there, so you don't need to bring a little potty in the car. You can bring a stroller, you can bring a dog, just some of those things that like, as a mom, what do you need to know? Like what's the high level stuff? And so, I feel like it's been cool to just even empower myself. Like, I can drive 45 minutes and go to this really cool park, and make a day out of it.
Expect.
Exactly. And I'm such like a creature of that. Like, again, with my organized planning brain, like I want to know like what do I need to prepare for? And so, it's just kind of been, a really fun journey.
That is really cool. I will say I am not well organized, but I do that too now that I'm a mom.
Totally.
Like, I need to know.
You kind of have to be.
Yeah. Is there a playground there? Is there water? Like what's my surrounding? Cause like the other day we just went, there's so many cool places in Seattle and just in like the surrounding areas that I grew up there. And I still am like, whoa, this is really cool. And maybe it's because I'm experiencing it as a mom.
Totally. And that's so true. Yeah.
So it's different, but we just went to this place the other day. That's crazy. It's like a beach, like an actual beach, which I was like, do these actually exist up here? Like this is real sand. Are we okay? And just this tiny little beach. And I thought, oh, I wish I had sand toys, which I would never keep in my car because there are not beaches where we're from. But it would have been nice to know.
Yeah. Hey, like, you can bring sand toys to this. Yeah.
Yes. Because my son was kind of like, after 10 minutes, he's like, well, what do I do now? Yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't know.
Totally.
When you're an adult, you just sit here. Yeah. It's fun. But when you're a baby, nope, it's pretty boring. Yeah. Let's go. Like, this isn't that cool. Yeah. So it is nice to be prepared and to know what's going to happen and to be able to be like, I want a beach today. Yeah. What does that look like? Where is a beach at?
Totally.
That doesn't have to be like downtown, maybe in the city, right? That can be more outskirts because maybe you don't want to be in the city. Totally. For whatever reason. Yeah. I love that. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, it's been super fun.
Have you made any like good connections that way?
Yeah,
like friends?
I totally have, which is fun. Like some of the gals that send me stuff often, it's so fun to connect with them. And they could live an hour away from me, but are still kind of in the Portland metro area. Yeah. And it's been kind of fun to have that platform and to get to meet people. And I haven't done any like meetups or anything like that yet, but people have talked to me about that. Like it would be cool just to coordinate it, and just, I don't need to be there or whatever, but just say like, here's kind of all these moms meeting up or whatever. Yeah.
That would be cool.
This adventure together. And I've met moms out in public that I say like, oh, are you the Mom What's Next gal? And I'm like, yeah.
You gotta get like a hat.
And they always
Mom
say
What's
like,
Next.
I'm so thankful. Like I'm new to Portland and I like just go to your page to learn stuff. And, that's like my heart. Like my heart is that I can empower women or moms to get out there and do things with their kids and to feel like they have the knowledge and the wisdom to go do something, you know, and to get them out of the house. And if that's what they're looking for. So it like totally warms my heart every time I hear people say that. I'm like, that's what I want. Like, I just want to help you. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talked about like your schedule, which I loved. Like, we're going to get out this day. We're going to stay home that day. I think that's really important, especially for moms that are stay-at-home moms, because you're kind of just like in this space all the time. And I know when Grayson was little, just because I think I was uncomfortable as a mom, I didn't really feel like I wanted to go out in public. It was just easy for me to stay home.
Totally.
However, in that time can bring on a lot of isolation and dark times and, you know, non-community focused. And so you're just alone with this human.
And you're learning and trying to figure it out.
So I think doing anything outside, even if it is by yourself with your kids, is so important.
Totally.
Because you're stuck in these four walls.
Yeah. And I learned that from a mentor kind of early on, that she used to do with her kids, is that Mondays were always home days. And it always felt like really freeing to me to say like, yeah, on this day, we are going to stay in our pajamas on purpose and be home all day and just play. And I would catch up on laundry or whatever we needed to do kind of after a busy weekend, maybe. And so it felt good to have like, you know, this is the one day that we're going to stay home.
Yeah.
Which then kind of like, I don't know, kind of built me up to then go out the rest of the week. And even if it's just like, hey, we're going to go on a walk this day. And I'm not great at like spontaneity. And so for me, it was making the schedule was really important. And it would kind of look similar. Each season of kids' ages, I would sort of tweak it and change it. And it wasn't like super specific, but it would, you know, be like, yeah, Mondays are home days and Tuesdays we're going to run errands and Wednesdays we're going to meet up with a friend. And, you know, Thursdays we're going to go do an adventure and Fridays are kind of like whatever we want day. That was kind of our like typical schedule for a while. Throw in like a little library story time in there or a little gymnastics class at the community rec center. That was just so helpful for me. And you're still home a good chunk of the time, especially with naps and stuff. So, that was really crucial for me.
Yeah, I think that's really good. Yeah, I definitely think staying inside can be really harmful. And I like your on purpose pajama day. Yeah. I think that's cool because it does force you to be like, okay, well, today was on purpose, but tomorrow we got to get
dressed. Yeah.
We got to get dressed. We got to do this.
Because we need that too. Like it's all important. Like again, just like take an inventory of what your needs are and what your own heart needs and what your kids needs. You know, sometimes your kids are more homebody and you're more outgoing. And as a mom, you kind of have to make a sacrifice sometimes and say like, okay, if my kid needs to stay home today and we just need to play Legos, like that's what we're going to do. You know, it's okay to say that.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people for moms to recognize that there are different seasons. Totally. Like you're in a different season where your kids maybe are a tiny bit more self-sufficient.
Totally. Yep.
Than someone who's got younger kids.
For sure.
Because I know hearing a lot of this can be a little overwhelming to someone that's like, well, wait a second, my baby's like 3 months old. So where do I take my baby? Like, what do I do? Yeah. So I think it's important that moms know that there's like different seasons in that. And sometimes you do stay at home. Yep. But like you mentioned earlier, you got to ask for help. You got to ask people to come over.
Like just do even the little things, driving by something that's interesting, like, you know, just going on a little drive or checking out a new neighborhood.
Get coffee.
Yeah. I always say like during Christmas time, like one of the most fun things you can do is just get in the car and drive around and look at Christmas lights, you know, just little things. It doesn't have to be this like big elaborate thing where you have to pay money and you have to, you know, and I love to include stuff like that in our Mom What's Next page too, of just like, hey, what's the simple things? Like take your kid out for a donut. Like where's the new donut shop around, you know, like, you know, I feel like there's so many free, different kind of fun things that you can do with kids for sure.
For sure. Well, I think that's really cool that you want to build a community of moms.
Yeah.
And that now you are a mompreneur with your own business.
It's weird to think that way. I don't really think that about myself, but I guess so.
I know I've been saying mompreneur lately so much. Sometimes I'm like, wait a second, is that an offensive word? I don't know. I don't know. I started to say it and then people look at me and I'm like, am I saying it wrong or is it offensive to you? I'm not sure which one it is. You're an entrepreneur.
Thank you. Yes.
And you're a mom.
Yes.
I think it's the best title, mompreneur.
Yeah.
All right. So now you have kids that have transitioned into school. I know it's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But what do you foresee is going to be maybe a challenge with that?
Yeah. I think I was warned about this, and so I kind of knew it coming, but it's definitely the brain overload that happens at school with our daughter that's in kindergarten, kind of just learning that with her last week. They're tired when they're coming home from school. People told me not to plan anything on a Friday night for like the first 6 weeks of school at least, and just to kind of take inventory of like, what does she need? Like, does she need to rest? Does she need, last week I was trying to think of like things that can help kids decompress. And I was remembering even just as like a teenager to like sit in your room and listen to music was super therapeutic. So we made a little playlist of some songs that she likes. And I tried to teach her that she could like sit in her room and listen to this music. And so I think that's kind of the challenge that I'm foreseeing right now, or just that I think we're going to be going through, is just sort of the mood swings and the attitude of what comes home. And maybe she's in a great mood, or maybe she didn't eat her lunch very well and, had PE and recess twice and is super tired when she comes home. And so I think just kind of giving her grace, giving myself grace to parent her in the evenings. I think that's kind of going to be the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Right
Have
now.
you already seen that then?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like more I guess when you're in kindergarten, do you throw tantrums? I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't like label it that, but it's definitely like the almost like teenagery mood swings, when you're kind of just like lash out, like, okay, I didn't know where that came from, like, it's just like, oh, I think you need to be by yourself.
Yeah. But at least, by kindergarten, they're safe to be by themselves in their room.
Totally. It's true.
That does help. Because I could see Grayson already has a really hard time. I think he's also young, so who knows when he's in kindergarten what he'll be like. But when he has a lot, like when he's overstimulated by people, by sound, by things, I can already tell when we come home into like a calm environment that he's kind of like, wait a second, this is a big shift.
Totally.
And so
it's the transition. You're totally right.
Yeah.
I'll even notice that after like we go to a big day at the park or something, like we had such a fun day and we come home and all of a sudden we walk through the doors and it's like World War III. And I'm like, hold on a second. Like we just had a great time. Like, can we cool it? And I have to totally remind myself that like, we just did all this stuff. Like their brains were learning and taking things in and all the different things and colors and things that they're seeing. Like it's all, their brain is trying to process it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we need to remember as parents too, that like our kids' brains aren't fully developed and it doesn't look like ours. And if we were to like actually express how we really felt sometimes, it might look a lot like our 6-year-old, like, don't we wish sometimes like, I'm hungry, they just can't articulate it. They just have the feeling and the emotion. So
I know that's what I try to remind myself. Like when Grayson's throwing a tantrum, I'm like, okay, you don't understand why you can't play with that when before you could play with that. Right. Like, okay, let me just slow down and not be so frustrated with you because how could you possibly know? Yeah. Or we're in a restaurant, we have to sit, but this will end soon. Like they don't know that.
Totally. Yeah.
It's so hard. Okay. So with your little one in preschool, are you experiencing the same thing or is it a little different?
He's a little just more tired right now, but I'd say like in the afternoons, it's just him now for, 3 hours before we go get his sister from school. So he has a lot of downtime just to kind of chill. And last week we kind of ran some errands. And so he was in the car and he fell asleep in the car a couple times, which he hasn't done in a while. So I just know he's tired, but like overall, I think he's, I think also the transition from, and I'm sure every school age parent experiences this, from summer to the fall is like the sleep. Like, how do you get them to sleep earlier? And like, in the summer you kind of get a little more, at least when your kids are a little older, you're having fun, you're playing in the backyard. It's like, oh gosh, like it's 7:45. We probably should go upstairs and start bedtime. And then it's like 9:00 and you're like, we never went to bed, past 8:00 in the school year. And so then you have to sort of transition back into that. So, yeah, definitely a little tired, but other than that, pretty good.
I'm in the stage where if I put Grayson to sleep like a minute past his bedtime, we don't sleep. Yeah. Like there's just no sleep. Yeah. I can't wait for the day that he's a normal human and he's like, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to sleep until 10.
Totally. Yeah.
Like that will be a really nice change
that
for
hasn't
me.
quite happened at our house. They go to bed late and then they wake up normal time still.
They do?
Yeah. Sometimes it'll be like a little bit, but mostly I'm like, oh gosh.
There were a few days Grayson slept until like, I'm still in the stage where Grayson's my alarm clock.
Yeah, totally.
When he slept in like 2 days in a row till like 7:15, which is unheard. Normally he's up at like 5.
Oh,
so
gosh,
we're like really sleeping in. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, my day's gone.
Yeah.
Like I got stuff to do.
Let's breakfast
go
already.
Yeah. Like we were pushed back all day before I knew it was his bedtime. I was like, wow, that's fun sleeping in. Yeah. Can we do that more? And no,
I like this.
It was just like 2 days in a row and then stop. Or every day. I'd be okay with every day. So I'd give or take that. Okay. Well, I cannot thank you enough for your time today. Yeah, but I do have one last question for you. If you could tell a mom one thing, what's one piece of advice you'd give to her?
I think my biggest piece of advice is to find people, to find a community. And I think that people say that a lot, but I think what I want moms to know is that it's not easy and that it's not just going to be like you're going to meet someone and say, hey, let's be friends. I think it takes a lot of vulnerability and just kind of willingness to step into each other's messes of their life. I think like the most success I've had in my friendships have been with people that live really close to me and that have kids in a similar age as me. I've found that those friendships, when you're in the same season and the same stage, you just get what each other needs. And we've like my friends and I always talk about like our husbands are great, but they're never going to totally know what it looks like to be a mom and to have, birthed these children and to be taking care of a newborn. And your mom friends do. They get it. They know what exactly you're feeling. And so, I think it's just so crucial to find those people that can, bring you back down when you're feeling crazy or swoop in when you really need the help, or just encourage you in a way that they know you need it, but your husband or someone else might not totally know or get. Yeah. But we're not supposed to do life by ourselves. We're supposed to do life with other people. And like I said, it's not easy. It doesn't just naturally happen. And I think it's work and you have to put in the effort. But I've done it and it's so great on the other side. Like just the way that you can serve each other in a season and be there for each other through ups and downs, just to bounce parenting ideas off of each other and just to find women who love your kids the way they would of their own family, that they're willing to just take them, at the drop of a hat if you need to. You need to find those people. And if it's just one for right now, that's great. And go walk around the neighborhood and see a mom in a stroller and stop and talk to her and say, hey, what's your name? Where do you live? Like, do you live close? Like, I, at the park when I had little kids, I always used to do that. Like just walk up to a mom at the park and say, hey, like our kids are around the same age. Like, do you live around here? You're obviously at this park. Like, did you walk here? I think you got to find them. You got to find them.
Yeah. I'm glad you gave that tip of like going out and reaching for a mom, like whether she's walking or at the park. Do you have any other tips that you would give of like ways to find similar aged mom friends?
Yeah. I mean, church is kind of a way that I found other moms in the same season of life. There's MOPS groups or different like preschool moms things. We always did classes at the community rec center near our house. And a lot of those classes can start when kids are 3 and they're like often like a parent involved class, like gymnastics or a music class. Library story time. It's so underrated. I feel like people don't think about it, but every library has a story time, and find the one that fits your schedule and go there and meet the mom next to you. They're all grouped by age. So it's perfect to find moms that are in the same season as you. And they have, at our library after work hours too, like a 6:31 or a Saturday morning one for parents who work full time. So I feel like there's tons of options. You kind of just have to put yourself out there and find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would agree that I think it can be uncomfortable, like to do that. But when Grayson was really little, we did a music class.
Yeah.
And the one thing I regret is not being like, hey, do you guys want to come back to my house for coffee? Like,
totally.
I had no one home. It was just him and I.
Yep.
And I was so lonely and so afraid to have these people over for coffee, but I had a coffee maker. I had coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't have cream. Like but they all probably would have been like, yeah. Totally. And I had places for kids to play.
Yep.
And I just was too afraid to ask. And I, all the time, like every time I sit down with a mom, it's probably one of the first things I think about is like, wow, I could know these moms so differently. And now they're just people that were in my class versus friends of mine.
Totally.
So I think just the coffee, inviting them back if that's what you have.
And I think don't be afraid of the mess of your life. Like whether it's emotional mess or physical mess, like we all get it. Like nobody cares if your house has laundry on the ground or a sink full of dishes. Like we've all been there and we've all had that season or that day or that week or whatever it is. And so I think, a lot of times ourselves are our own obstacles in that, like just to be confident in what you're after instead of looking at like what you've got going on kind of behind the scenes. Like nobody's perfect. Nobody's house is perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. Right. So get over it.
Right. Well, and I do think like the things I've learned as a mom, I've learned from other moms.
100%.
Because either I've surrounded myself with them or I've asked them what they're doing on social media or whatever it is. And so even if your sink is full of dishes and theirs isn't, they might have a tip that they do, right?
Totally.
Like they clean dishes on Tuesdays and you came over on a Tuesday, like whatever it is. And so just ask, like just be okay to ask the question. Like you have to learn how to do it. And the only way to learn is through other people.
Yeah. And I don't think you'll ever regret reaching your hand out and meeting a new person. I really don't. I mean, I think there's always something to gain.
Yes.
Whether it's friendship or just a great conversation and, moving on. But I think that a friendship can be made from something like that. Even just to linger around. Yeah. Who did you park next to? Say hi to them, Yeah. And I think to get into something like a music class or story time, the consistency of seeing people once a week is so helpful too, because then you can, if you're nervous, you can kind of build that friendship in the confines of the class you're in. And then, maybe after a few times, then you feel a little bit more bold to say, hey, do you want to meet at the park after this? Or I feel like saying you want to meet at the park or the library is such a great thing because it's your kids can play and do their own thing. And if you're a little bit nervous about your home or someone else's home, then you can kind of start in those neutral places and build from there. But so important.
Yeah, get coffee to go and go sit at a park.
Totally.
Yeah. So good. That's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like, I'm going to take that advice. I say to do that, but now I'm really going to do it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
totally.
So good. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time
for
today. I appreciate
Sarah.
it. Thank you for listening. I hope you loved it. Please subscribe to this podcast so you can get the latest episodes and tell us what you think about it in the reviews. And mamas, I love you.